Today, we're taking a look at one of Marvel's most iconic superhero teams, the Fantastic Four. Despite their huge legacy in the comics, their film adaptations have had a rough ride over the years, with some of these characters being shown justice and some not so much. From the campy 2000 films to the infamous 2015 reboot, and now the new 2025 release, and even the forgotten 1994 version, there's been no shortage of attempts to bring Marvel's first family to the big screen, and it's safe to say the results have been mixed.
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poo.
So in this video, I'll be ranking all the live-action Fantastic Four movies in this tier list. So let's break it down and see which Fantastic Four movies actually hold up and which ones completely missed the mark. Fantastic Four, released in 2005. This was my first ever introduction to this team of superheroes when I was a little kid, so there's definitely some nostalgia after rewatching. Without any bias, this movie does a great job at introducing the beginning stages of these characters' powers and how they deal with them. They show the characters discovering their powers, like Johnny skiing down that mountain and Ben going through a Hulk-like transformation to become the Thing. I also love seeing how this team had their own struggles, and it makes you care about these characters so much more. Seeing Reed struggle with accepting Victor and Susan's relationship while being in love with her, and Ben struggle with becoming this monster while Johnny is enjoying his life, being soaked up in fame and being as cocky as ever. Even though I loved all of that, I feel like a majority of this film's plot was just spent seeing these characters come to terms with their powers rather than developing the story for a smoother transition into the final act. I'm someone who enjoys these plotlines that run on a little too long because it's nice to learn more about these characters, but to the average watcher it can be seen as boring after a while and slow down the pacing of the film. But anyways, let's get back into the positive. The highlight of this film was definitely the Thing because his character developed the most throughout the story, turning into this rock creature made him lose his wife and even himself. I like how they showed that despite being seen as a freak to everyone on the bridge causing fears, such as the guy wanting to jump off the bridge or even the cops treating him as a threat, despite it all he still decided to help and save the day. And it almost gave you a Superman moment that despite being hated by everyone, you still do the right thing. The Human Torch also played a nice comedic relief character that made me laugh a lot of times.
You're hot.
Why, thank you, so are you.
Moving on to the suits, they get a lot of mixed reactions from the fans, but I think the suits are quite amazing, especially for the 2000s, as these suits were usually done dirty. I think they nailed the suits, making them sleek and simple, which a lot of movies get wrong these days. It followed the traditional blue suit with the big Fantastic Four logo, which I wish was kind of in the center of the suit, but not that much to bother me. Now let's get on to Victor Von Doom, which is my biggest complaint of the movie. Dr. Doom is seen as one of Marvel's biggest threats, being able to take down a whole team of Avengers in the comics. His motive of being mad at Reed for losing his company's funding and wanting power was such an underwhelming reason to kill a whole team of people, but yet again, Reed did steal his girl. Even with this terrible build-up becoming Dr. Doom, the climax with him feels a little rushed and he is defeated instantly as if he was not a threat at all the entire movie. The stakes felt low and provided no real tension or suspense. The CGI was not the best either, with some of Reed's stretchy scenes and Johnny's fire powers looking a little wonky, but it wasn't that much of a bother to me. Finally, Sue Storm's character was incredibly underused and to me was seen more as just a character to further help build Dr. Doom and Mr. Fantastic characters rather than giving her own personal problems. Instead, they just made this character all about love interest rather than diving into a more scientific side of her character. So Fantastic Four 2005, while its plot is weak and lacks a lot of character growth and vision, it definitely was a fun watch and gave me a comic book feel with its light tone. While this movie isn't perfect at all, it is definitely not unwatchable, so I'm putting it into B tier.
Avengers Endgame!
Sorry, what now?
Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. People may not agree with me, but this movie is arguably worse and to me feels like a bit of a mess and could have been so much greater. I feel like this movie was such a letdown from the first, which makes me sad to say as this movie was my favorite superhero movie as a kid. This movie does some things right, and one of them being the Silver Surfer. This character was such an awesome character to introduce that is just insane to see in live action. The voice actor Lawrence Fishburne, who voiced Silver Surfer, made this character give me literal chills when watching. The design of this character from himself to his board, they also completely nailed and felt like it was ripped right out of the comics. His introduction while being chased by Human Torch is one of my favorite movie scenes of all time and showed how cool his powers were and the threat of them as well. And his moral conflict added so much more depth to his character. I really enjoyed the team's dynamic much more in this film, seeing Johnny and Ben get closer while still being assholes to each other, and Sue and Reed talking about living normal lives added tension to this team, which was only solved when they saved the day and realized they couldn't have done it without being a team. The visuals in this film are kind of all over the place. On one side you have the Silver Surfer effects, which looked awesome, and the other side you have this.
It's clobbering time.
The plot I think was decent, but it could have been so much more than it was and explore more of the cosmic side of this universe. I didn't really find the little subplots of the film entertaining as well. Johnny's struggle with love, the government's interference, and the god-awful Doctor Doom return. One of the worst things about this film is how they try to tie Doctor Doom in this movie. He randomly just comes back and wants to be the most powerful being all of a sudden. His dialogue sucks.
You know, I've never been the giving type, Reed.
And it felt like they just quickly wrote him into the movie's script before filming. The movie is 14 minutes shorter, but feels twice as rushed as the first movie. They give no explanation of Galactus' nature or even Silver Surfer's origins. And Galactus, where do I even begin? You're telling me that you looked at a comic book and designed him to be a giant cloud?
Boy, if you...
The main family has a bit of character development from the first movie, like Johnny Storm becoming more empathetic and responsible, and taking on the mantle of being a hero. Ben accepting his powers, Reed taking charge instead of being the coward he once was. But yet again, I feel like Invisible Woman's story was just not there. Besides wanting a normal life, she spent most of the movie planning the wedding and was used to support another character story once again, using her to be the emotional anchor for the team and now the Silver Surfer. The whole power swapping idea was alright, I didn't love or hate it, but the way Johnny took the responsibility to save the world with all their powers was a nice way to show how the character has grown. This movie offers some cool scenes and provides a mystery element which I liked. But near the end, the movie becomes more ridiculous and strays away from the main plotline and becomes one big mess. I'm putting it into C tier. Fantastic Four 2015.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
No, it really isn't.
Say that again?
This movie is the opposite of fantastic and maybe the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. So I'm all for origin stories, which I love most of the time, but this movie just does everything wrong. I understand you need to show these characters before they get their powers, develop the powers, and build up the team, but I think this movie missed out on all those aspects. It's not until an hour into this movie do these characters go onto the mission to gain their powers, and it felt like the longest hour of my life. I really feel like in this time you could have allowed the audience to build a real connection with these characters, but instead none of these characters I found interesting at all. The pacing was god-awful and I almost shut my TV off while watching this movie. Fantastic Four 2005 was able to show these characters before the space incident and give their powers within the span of 15 minutes, but this film took their sweet time. Even with this extra time, I feel like I knew nothing about these characters at all. I will say the visuals were pretty damn cool in this movie. I liked all the power scenes and I found them to look pretty realistic and gave us a horror-like aspect, which was awesome. And I'd like to see them keep that theme and tone, but instead it was all over the place. It went from a horror sci-fi to a rush superhero action movie with a 1-year time skip. And this 1-year time skip also ruined the movie for me. I thought after that long wait, they should at least show these characters developing their powers, but instead they skip 1 year into the future and miss out on watching these characters develop together with new powers they just gained. They had these terrible suits which they tried to go very realistic on, but didn't work. I get they didn't want to use the bright blue comic accurate suits because they wouldn't fit the film's aesthetic. But these suits didn't even feel like I was watching a Fantastic Four movie. I hated the concept of their suits controlling their powers, like how the Human Torch had to tap his suit to flame on. Surprisingly, the actual team dynamic was even worse in this movie. I felt like no characters had much dialogue between each other, and the team was only formed in the last 10 minutes to fight Doctor Doom. The final act was rushed, and Doctor Doom I don't even want to speak too much about. I felt like the whole movie there was no stakes or actual villain until the end, and the payoff was even worse. They defeated him within 8 minutes with no team chemistry at all. He posed no real threat and makes the other Doctor Dooms look incredible in comparison. His motivation was that Earth sucks and then comes back after being on Earth Zero and is just this destructive villain that wants the world to end with no real build up at all. It's sad to say this because I think the cast is pretty fantastic. This movie had so much more potential and I could go on about the negatives so much longer, but I think we get the point. We all probably know where this is going. It's going into D tier. The forgotten 1994 Fantastic Four. To be honest, I didn't fully watch this movie, but from the clips I've seen on YouTube, it looks pretty bad. But there is also some things I like the character designs. So in summary, this movie isn't terrible, but it's also not great at all. So I'm putting it into D tier, but above Fantastic Four 2015. So I just came back from watching this movie, and it is by far the best live-action iteration of this team. There's not much negative things I can say about this film. I love that this film took place on a different Earth and gave the MCU this fresh feeling. The retro 60s worked very well and looked very good. And speaking of the visuals, wow does this movie take it to the max. I think this may be the most visually stunning Marvel movie in the entire MCU. This movie portrays a beautiful message about family, and for once, I feel like this team actually felt like a genuine family. They didn't need to explain that they have these relationships, but they showed how close and strong they are together instead. The real MVP of this film was Vanessa Kirby's Invisible Woman, which is a surprise because every movie fails to make her an actual character. Her speech to the world about not giving up her child for the Earth was amazing, and when she tells Johnny to kill the Silver Surfer, you could tell she was not here to play around. Her character also felt like the glue of the team that held everyone together. I also doubted the castings a bit, like Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch or Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, but I can say after this film, I think I like them both more than any other actor to play these characters. They showed Reed's scientist side incredibly well, dealing with the conflicts that rest on his shoulders, and Joseph's Human Torch, although different in comparison to Chris Evans' cocky ladies man iteration, I like how they finally made this character feel like an asset to the team and not a complete dumbass. He was able to decipher and learn Shia LaBeouf's language in just a couple weeks. One scene I want to put a lot of emphasis on is the space chase scene, which was insane. The reveal of Galactus gave me chills, the escape from him was sick, and you got to see Silver Surfer get force choked by Sue Storm and then surf on damn lava. And finally, the plan to lose Silver Surfer in a black hole was just perfect. Another thing about this movie was how Galactus was finally done justice and wasn't a fart cloud. This Galactus was menacing and had the whole world working together to escape to another universe. And as Herald Silver Surfer, even better. But can I say, all of the doubters will be sorry because this character was a threat the whole movie, and actually gave me goosebumps when she appeared on screen. The aura was there, the line delivery was there, no complaints at all. So let's move on to the short list of negatives I have about this film, and the first one being the power scales. In this movie, besides the Invisible Woman, it felt like the powers of the rest of the team were nerfed or shown minimally. Reed almost gets stretched in half, and that thing is usually a highlight character, and he wasn't bad at all, but was not a huge takeaway part of this film. My second negative about this film was the movie's final act. Although entertaining, I didn't like the Lego Marvel ending of sending Galactus to a portal to save the day. While this movie isn't perfect, it was definitely the best Fantastic Four movie out of the bunch, and made me leave the theater with high hopes for the future of the MCU. So I'm putting this movie into A tier. So after rewatching and ranking these films, this is the final tier list. I can't wait to see where the MCU takes the future of the Fantastic Four and see them next appear in Avengers Doomsday. While there were some good and bad iterations, all of these movies depict different versions of this family, which I appreciate. So, do you agree with this list? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fiction content. And like always, thank you for watching.
Say that again?